example, we call them Tom and Tina, 64 and 62. He recently retired. She wasn't working. Primary concerns were having enough income in retirement. They're concerned with the fluctuations of the market. They wanted to address long-term care. They were wondering around Social Security, what should they do? And they were a moderate risk tolerance. So here's what their situation looked like when I met them. They came to one of our seminars and heard a talk like this and requested a consultation. We sat down, right? And so the bulk of their retirement savings was still in his 401k. He had recently left his company, but he wasn't sure what to do with it. And 401ks are great, especially if your company is giving you a big match. What's not so great is you're limited to the options that the plan has. And in most cases, they're stocks and bond funds, right? And so he had it all in bond funds, right? Because he didn't want the volatility of the equities, right? But he didn't have some access to some of those other options that I showed you. Tina had an IRA and also in bond funds. So they were really, again, wondering around what should they do with Social Security, how much, they could either start drawing from their IRAs and defer Social Security. They could start Social Security early, do a combination approach. They also didn't want to have an annual payment for long-term care. They didn't want to be paying $300, $400, $500 a month for the rest of their life, but they were really concerned about long-term care. They had some family experience around that with their parents, and being tax efficient is an area that I love helping clients in, because again, that's something we can control if we understand the rules and we apply it properly, right? We do the best we can with the market and indexes, and interest rates, but we don't know we have no control over that, right? So they also had more money than they needed in the bank, and it's not because that was a great choice for them. It's just like they just didn't know what else they could do with it, and they didn't want to make a decision that didn't work out, right? And that caused sustained losses, right? So what we did is, they were moderate risk, so we incorporated the fixed index annuities for in the soon bucket to give them a bridge for the next 6 years. So they needed about $40,000 a year to draw down until Tom is 70. So we decided that, so Tom had a pension from his company, so he was getting that now. And Tina we decided to start her Social Security at 62 and defer Tom. So his Social Security benefit continued to grow. The benefit of that not only is the growth of his larger Social Security benefit, but it also provided some great planning from the perspective of surviving spouse. For a surviving spouse, they get their Social Security or their spouse's, whichever is greater. And so generally it makes sense in that situation to at least have one Social Security benefit larger defer. Also, Social Security, they're guaranteeing an 8% increase each year you defer. We don't have those types of guarantees right now, or at all, right? Sometimes we have guarantees similar on certain insurance products, but nothing like that right now because of how low interest rates are. So the Social Security, deferring Social Security right now is in many cases more attractive than it's ever been. Also, Social Security benefits are taxed at a lower rate than other taxable income. So if you have IRA income or pension income, fantastic, but you're going to be paying more in taxes on that generally than you will on Social Security. So we built a bridge so they could confidently spend down some of their savings, and it's principally protected. So if the market goes into the dump over the next 2, 3, 5, 6 years, their income, their $40,000 a year of income, they don't have to stress and worry about it. After that 6 years, they're set because Tom's Social Security is going to kick in. So what do we do with the rest? Well, so we're going to invest the rest for growth. They were also able to utilize a very unique strategy that provides long-term care protection for both of them, and to do it in a very tax efficient way. So he was able to go directly from IRA directly into that. So he didn't have to pay a bunch of taxes getting it out of the IRA. And then we took some of the excess bank dollars and opened an after-tax specific type of insurance policy that had value in these three areas: tax-deferred cash growth, so chronic and critical illness benefits if they need it in that situation, and then a death benefit. And so that, in addition to the fixed index annuities and the structured notes, this would be the third area or third asset class that I consistently add a ton of value for folks in, because they're not familiar with it. They don't have it. They didn't know about it, right? And so these are after tax. So a lot of times the recommendations are based on where's the money. We talk about asset location. Is it an IRA? Is it a Roth IRA? Is it an after-tax account? Is it in the bank? Is it in, all those things matter into what's the best solution. But for so many retirees, they want to be conservative with their money, but they still want it to grow if they need it, but they want care if they need it. And if they never need the cash or the care, oftentimes they like the idea of maximizing it for their beneficiaries. Or even if it's not for the kids or grandkids, it could just be for their surviving spouse. So here's what their plan looked like after. In addition, over the next 6 years, we're going to be converting the growth IRA into a Roth IRA. So we're going to be paying some taxes each of the next 6 years at relatively low rates, and before Tom draws his Social Security. So when Tom's Social Security starts, they're in a fantastic situation from a tax perspective, right? Where they're paying very little, if any, taxes, as well as they're in control of that, right? If they want to take cash out of these products, if they have tax deferral, and that's a key concept for many retirees after RMDs, is a lot of times they lose tax deferral options and opportunities. So I got to keep moving. I'm doing okay on time. So, so what did we do here? We took money that was in bond funds, not because they wanted them in bond funds, because that's what they knew and they didn't know where else to go. And we were able to find better options. And a lot of times we blend it, right? So if instead of someone having 100% in bond funds, right, because they're just scared of the market, say, well, what if we had 70% of your money with 100% principal protection? If that was the case, would you be comfortable accepting market volatility with 30%, right? The ups and downs with the 30%. And most of our clients say, yes, that makes sense, right? Because I don't care which one does better, right? We care about the result that we're able to create. Now, people really struggle with that, right? Because a lot of times they're like, well, how did this one do? And, oh, well, this one did better last year, so I should have more in that. And we understand why people do that, but again, we can't make our decisions looking back. We got to make it looking forward, right? We're able to get the bank dollars working for them and their family in a much, much more better way. We incorporated planning around the Social Security. We incorporated tax planning. We're able to protect long-term care without them having to have a monthly payment for the rest of their life. And if they never needed the care, then there'd be a benefit to their family, right? So do we have, if you have a question about that, type it in the chat box. Key observation. So I was able to do a lot of, this is a great opportunity. It's like the perfect situation. You're able to just make improvements in so many areas. Now, a lot of people, after they meet me and get to know me and spend time together, a lot of times they said things like, I wish I met you 10 years ago, or I wish I knew you 20 years ago, right? In this situation, we were able to do a lot of good, but we could have done even better, right? If Tina or Tom had come to me at 59 and a half, right? We met at that point, right? So when you're separated from service or 59 and a half, you have, according to your plan, but on most plans, they allow what's called in-service rollovers. So again, when the money's in the 401k, we're restricted to the options, but once it's outside of that in an IRA, then we could use the fixed index annuities for a portion. We could use the structured notes for a portion, right? Now, if you're self-employed, you don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half, right? Because if you have an IRA, you could be utilizing some of those other strategies besides just stocks and bonds at any age, right? But a lot of people have a substantial amount of their money in employer plans. A lot of people think like they have to wait till they retire. In a lot of cases, they don't. Other thing that sometimes people come up with is, well, I don't want to make any changes because I'm going to have to pay a lot in taxes. And yes, if you were to take a withdrawal from your IRA, it's taxable, but you can do what's called a custodian to a custodian rollover. And with our clients, we help them facilitate that and handle that to avoid any mess ups. Because if you do it on your own, there are a couple situations that could cause tax problems. You don't have a taxable event when you do that. So
I hope you found the video helpful. If you'd like more great resources from me, click the link below or go to the homepage of our website and access 3 pillars of a successful retirement plan. A great simple checklist. Make sure you're aware of the areas to help you successfully get to and through retirement. Additionally, if you'd like to join our Financial Stay Informed community, you'll receive an e-newsletters from us, as well as invitations to local events and webinars that we're holding throughout the year. Lastly, if you'd like to have a conversation with me individually, discuss working together potentially in a client advisory relationship, we offer virtual as well as in-person meetings. Thanks, take care. I'll look forward to seeing you in future videos.